Welcome to the Writing with Purpose podcast, where I, Anna Williscroft, chat with fellow writers and outdoor enthusiasts about how we can embrace creativity and curiosity to live a life full of adventure that doesn't feel like hard work. I delve into exploratory conversations about my two loves in life, writing and nature connection, as part of my mission to share the well-being benefits they both bring. It's wonderful to have you here today. Hi, and welcome back to the second of my solo chats with you for a series of 6 episodes. And happy Christmas! So since I last spoke to you, Christmas Day has been and gone. I hope it was a fabulous time for you and your family with friends, and you spent lots of time being creative, getting outside, and taking a journal and writing about your experiences, helping to process your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts. And yeah, you're ready to go into a new year with some new plans, new purpose, positivity, and all that. So it's the 30th of December. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. What are you doing? I don't actually know what I'm doing yet, because I'm recording this episode a day or so before Christmas Day. So maybe the following episode I'll reveal what we ended up doing. But what I want to talk to you about this episode really is to celebrate personal growth and to really have a look back over 2013, the last 12 months, and really pick out the things that the things that have helped you to grow personally in some way. And what I'm going to do this episode, I'm sharing same format as before, so sharing 3 different sections, so writing, nature and creativity. But what I want to do is talk to you about writing last, because I've got quite a few prompts and a really fabulous exercise that I thoroughly enjoy doing myself that I would love to share with you and invite you to do it yourself, because I think you'll find that there's a lot of things that have probably happened over the last 12 months that you might have forgotten about, but actually they are well worth celebrating. And when we do this sort of thing, it actually really shows just how powerful we are and how empowered we can be with the experiences that we do, the things that we achieve. And unfortunately, we can be wired to focus on the negativity or to focus on the negative. So it does actually take a conscious effort to think positively and to celebrate our successes sometimes. It's not the path of least resistance. The negative path is the path of least resistance so often. So I would love to encourage you to really focus on those highlights from 2013, where, thinking about what we talked about last week, you were in flow, you were in creative flow, you were energized, you weren't self-conscious, you didn't think about time, and you were just thoroughly enjoying being present in the moment. So thank you once again for listening. I did say that this series was going to be between 15 and 20 minutes, and I ended up talking for almost half an hour last time. So, that's the way things happen when you get excited about things. But I'm going to try and shorten this one a little bit, because there's still a lot going on this time of year. The chaos of Christmas may have subsided ever so slightly, but the children are still off school. You may be off work as well, yourself enjoying a rest. But it's still a time when there's a lot going on. We tend to, from a professional point of view, use the time between Christmas and New Year to plan, to focus. Now, I'm unsure as to whether this is because we have a little bit more downtime, or just because it's one of those times of year that we kind of assume that's what we need to do. But planning for things, reflecting on things, to me, I think should be a regular activity that we all go through. It could be monthly, it could be weekly, it could even be daily if you practice journaling or you reflect on things on a daily basis. Now, I just want to point out there that journaling is not something that you need to build a habit to do every day, which some people will suggest that you do. As long as it's regular and as long as you turn to it when you need it, that's all that matters. I'm constantly going to be saying it's finding what works for you. It's finding a strategy that works for you. It's finding a time. It's finding a place. And when you've found that, all of those things will fall into place. Just to share that actually, that this podcast series that I am now recording, I'm actually sitting in my chair, curled up, wrapped in a blanket, and I'm just comfortable. It's as though I'm speaking to you as a friend. We've got the screen in front of us, between us. We've got headphones in front of however you are watching or listening to this episode. For me, it's more of you get into your comfort zone and you just be authentic and you share what matters to you in the moment. When I first started doing these, I thought I needed to be stood up. I thought I needed to be kind of really professional about things, plan all of the scripts, know exactly what I was going to say. But actually, that does really dilute you as an individual. So as you listen to these, I encourage you just to, embrace the unique you, embrace what makes you different, and just, there's no right or wrong. I'm going to be saying this a lot. I've probably already said it about 3 times, but, repetition sometimes is important and we need to get these things across. So without further ado, let me share a couple of things with you about nature and discovering a nourishing connection with nature and gaining the benefits of being outside and just enjoying the fresh air and also the expansiveness that the outdoors offers you. And it's yes, you are outside, you've got all of this expanse around you, and it does have that same effect on your mind. It kind of expands your thinking. It helps the ideas to sort of shake up a little bit. It's like shaking up things in a bottle. Things start to move around more. You start to get more ideas, and embrace that expansiveness of the outdoors and expand your mind as well. And last episode, I shared with you a publication that the University of Derby had put together, where they talk about 5 pathways to achieving a deeper connection with nature. Now, just to recap, those 5 pathways were senses, beauty, emotion, meaning, and compassion. And I want to just talk a little bit more about the first one today, which is the senses. So engaging with your senses. And I think quite often, we really don't see and hear things around us the way that we should do. There's such a lot going on. We can tend to put earphones in our ears. We can, we've got ways to block out the rest of the world just to be on our own. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, that is a good thing. If you are one of these people, a little bit introverted and you need to go away in a darkened room to recuperate. And I'm one of those people, as well as getting outside in nature to energize myself. If I've been in an environment which has got an awful lot of people, maybe some sort of party, Christmas party, New Year's party that we have coming up, I need time alone afterwards to regenerate, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think when we're outside, when we're with other people, it really is important for us to engage our senses and to, really connect with what's going on around us, to see, to look at people, to pay attention, to see the beauty in nature, to listen to what's going on, to smell the smells. Nature has a lot of different smells that can ignite your senses, from the sweetness of a flower to, dare I say, the pungentness of horse manure. But it's all out there waiting for the taking, and it really does help us to wake up. By paying attention, using our senses, we become more mindful to what's around us, we become more present, and all of these things are proven to help our well-being. And that's one of the main things that I'm here to talk to you about in this podcast, is improving your well-being through writing, through connecting with nature. So yeah, let's get outside and let's ignite those senses. So I've got some journal prompts for you, and as before, please feel free to pause these or jot them down, come back to them anytime, or do them before continuing to the next session. So I invite you to find a quiet spot and observe your surroundings. Now, this really does require you to go outside, so find a lovely little bench somewhere. If it's a nice day, take a blanket, find a lovely grassy spot in an open meadow, under an ancient tree. Whatever you feel drawn to, I would suggest is the right place for you to go. And yeah, so find a quiet spot and observe your surroundings, and journal around what colours, patterns and shapes catch your eye. So just describe what you see and how it makes you feel. Of course, using your senses. Close your eyes and listen to the sounds of nature. And then take some time to write about the most soothing or intriguing sound you hear. And to really get connected to nature, try to reach out, or well, not even try actually. Try is a word that really we shouldn't use, because you're either going to do it or you're not. So reach out and touch something. It could be the rough bark of a tree, the downiness of moss, or even the coolness of a stream. So reach out and touch something, and then describe the texture, the temperature, and just reflect on how it feels to connect with that piece of nature that you've touched. And I'd love to know the outcome of these journaling prompts. Spending regular time, nurturing relationship with relationship. I nearly said with Rachel. What's going on? See, that's the whole thing. When you're talking impromptu, things may pop into your head, and then you start to talk randomly. So scratch that last few seconds. And yeah, what I was going to say was spend regular time to nurture your relationship in nature. Maybe you spot a tree and you call them Rachel, I don't know. But yeah, you will find that the more you do this, the more enjoyment you gain out of it, the more energy you will feel. You'll feel happier, you'll gain clarity. There's so many benefits of getting outside. And I'd love to know where you go as well. Please share with me, comment, let me know where you've been. And if you live anywhere near Staffordshire or Cheshire, please share with me some routes what you've been on. And it would be interesting for me to maybe go and find where you've been, and enjoy the spot in nature for myself. So I hope you enjoy those prompts. Now, moving on to creativity. A couple of months ago, I started reading The Artist's Way, which is a book by Julia Cameron. Now, Julia Cameron has done all sorts of things with regards to writing and creativity in the past. She's a book writer, she's a screenwriter, she's a published author for so many different things. And the Artist's Way is kind of like a 12-week course within a book. And I haven't finished it, I'll be honest with you. I'm on week 7, and I've been on week 7 for about 4 weeks now. My progress with The Artist's Way took a little bit of a backseat when I started the master's course. But a lot of the things that I'd learned so far in The Artist's Way have really helped me with the course as well, with the masters. And what it really has helped with is my own creativity. And I mentioned in the last podcast that I don't really overthink anymore or procrastinate about things. And The Artist's Way has been a big help with me progressing those limiting beliefs, shall we say, that I had about myself. But just through doing some of the exercises in The Artist's Way, it's helped me to remove those blocks. And it's helped me to just sort of realize where it is that I excel, the situations and the activities that I'm doing that really I am in flow doing. So I encourage you to have a look at Julia Cameron's Artist's Way. You can purchase the book. I know it's available on Audible and other audio apps. So there's various ways to access it, and it's not expensive considering the fact that it's wrapped up as a course. One of the things I'd love to share with you, though, is the weekly artist's date that she suggests. And this shouldn't be hard, actually, if you listen to last week's podcast, because I did ask you to write a list of new experiences, activities, or habits that you could plan to start in 2024 that were creative in nature. So if you did that task, if you had a go at that prompt, then you've got various ideas that you can actually get started on with this artist's date. So what is the concept around artist's date and artist's date? In a nutshell, it's taking yourself off somewhere on your own, doing something that you've never done before, that you thoroughly enjoy. And if you need some encouragement, some ideas around this, a few things that I did was I embarked on a solo walk around Yorkshire, which I just followed one of my route planning apps. I generally don't go for walks on my own. I run on my own, but I don't go for walks on my own. So I thoroughly enjoyed that because it was a new experience. I'd never been on the walk that I'd been before. It was a beautiful day, and I took in some of the early sunset. What else did I do? I went into Hobbycraft. I spent an hour in Hobbycraft having a look at all of the fabulous crafty things that they have there. I didn't realise that there's actually so much that you could buy to put together. But I treated myself to a few little things. What else? I went on a felt heart workshop, which I sewed a message, a secret private message, sewed into the heart, and embellished it with buttons and frills around the outside. So it was something that was very kind of unique to me, with the message and also the heart, which was just a lovely mindful exercise. And I did, at the end of November, I booked myself onto a leather journal making course, which was incredible. Traditional journal making, book making skills. It was, yes, these two were fabulous. I'd produced an A5 and an A6 journal. Not always great, because now I really don't want to actually use them. I don't want to tarnish them. I don't want to damage them with my own writing, which kind of defeats the object, really. These things are there for us to use. But there's some examples, some inspiration for you anyway. And let me share some journal prompts with you now. So where can you go on an artist's date? So that's a date with yourself. So make a list. And I encourage you to make a list of at least 6 or 8 of these. What activities have you always wanted to try but never indulged in? Again, make a list and then circle one that you can try over the coming week. When was the last time you enjoyed quality you time? Write about this, and I invite you to think about, how did you feel? And then what steps can you take to make more regular time for you? Great. So a lot of food for thought there. And again, I will put the links to Julia Cameron's Artist's Way in the show notes. So if you want to explore that even further, you can do. Now, moving on to writing and words for wellness. So one way to stay motivated and continue with progress and realize, to achieve your goals, your aspirations, your dreams. So actually realize and take the time to acknowledge and celebrate the successes that you've already had. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, we're wired often to focus more on the negative and not the positive. So this next exercise, I really encourage you to focus on celebrating your personal growth and what you've achieved over 2023. And I've got quite a few points for this, so you might want to pause me at some stage to make a proper list of this. No, in fact, what I will do, I'll create a PDF of some of these questions. So I'll pop that in the show notes and you can download them if that's easier. But I will talk through them anyway. So what I would love for you to think about and invite you to do some journaling around is, over 2023, what personal growth have you achieved? Now, this can be in the form of new skills, new experiences or routines, or just simply new realizations. Oh, I didn't realize that about myself, or oh, I didn't realize that could be so good, or those sort of things that you realize that actually that is great, I get enjoyment out of that, or I realize now that that is not helping me, that is not for my best interest. So these realizations happen a lot, and sometimes we can kind of poo-poo them a little bit because they might be subtle rather than heavy impact. Also, what challenges have you overcome and what goals have you accomplished throughout 2023? And also, what decisions have you made that have altered and improved an outcome of some description? Now, you might just want to take a piece of paper and brainstorm these points and then organize them into maybe some sort of order. Again, whatever works for you. So also, what is your biggest lesson learned and what is your biggest accomplishment? Now, these are two sort of key questions that people tend to ask, personally and professionally. But for whatever your biggest lesson is and your biggest accomplishment, why have you chosen these? If by asking the question why, you go deeper into what it means to you. And then also, what was your most memorable achievement? And why was it your most memorable achievement? And then take some time to think about what you've written down already, and who were you with? Or where were you? And what were you doing? And look for the patterns. When you start to make notes like this, when you start to journal on a regular basis and ask yourself these sorts of questions, a lot of patterns tend to emerge. And that's great. That's really valuable insight for you because it helps you to make decisions that are going to be in your best interests for you rather than for somebody else. So all of these things, who were you with, where were you, what were you doing, this helps you to identify your happy place. Where are you most happy? Where do you feel happiest? It also helps to identify the activities and the buddies that you're with, if you like. So, there's lots of things that you can gain from doing these exercises. And just bring in some emotion, describe how you felt during these situations, during these incidents, and use as much detail as you can. And another great question to get even deeper with this is to ask, how do you feel now? Writing about this, thinking about this, how do you feel now? Where do you feel that in your body? Can you pinpoint any bodily sensations that you have around this? Are you getting sort of excitement, butterflies again, just reliving some of these moments? And when you've thought and reflected about 2023, also have a think about what has happened. What have you written down that you would like to carry over into 2024? So what would you like more of in 2024 and why? And also, what would you like to leave behind in 2023? What do you need to let go of? What baggage is there that you just really need to say, no, I don't want to carry that forward anymore? And again, why? Ask that deeper question. So there's some wonderful prompts for you to really get stuck into. And if you can, I encourage you to, dedicate an hour or so to this. Find a comfy spot, find a blanket, grab a hot drink, whatever comforts you have that help you really feel relaxed and in the moment, and just free write with these questions. And what I mean by free write is don't think too much about the question, but just let let it flow and just keep writing until you've sort of emptied your head, and then move on to the next question. Now, one exercise that I thoroughly enjoyed doing around this myself about a week or so ago with some lovely ladies was to actually take out your phone and scroll through the photographs from the 1st of January 2023 that you've taken. And you like I said at the start of this podcast, you'll probably find some things that you've forgotten about, that really do bring a smile to your face. It helps you to see that visual moment as well, because sometimes some people, they don't have a visual memory, they might struggle to remember certain things, and you might not have really acknowledged something enough for it to seem important at the time. So this really is a great exercise, and you could do it with your family, you could do it with some friends, and then share what you've come up with at the end, and maybe to make a little collage of some of the best things that have happened during 2013. And just before I close this episode, I just want to share some of my standout moments of 2023, because we're all on this journey together. So in January, I summited Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. Now, I had to have a lot of training for that. I had to have a word with myself in many ways, because there was a lot of unknowns around that climb, and maybe I'll do a podcast on this solely at some point. Please do let me know if you'd love to hear more about the Mount Kilimanjaro challenge. It's a high altitude climb. It's one of the 7 summits of the world, and I did it. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. It was probably the proudest moment of myself I have ever been, and if I can achieve that, boy, I can achieve anything. So it really did set the tone for 2023 for me. I also completed half of the Snowdonia Trail in 3 days, which was about 44 miles, I think. I attempted to escape from Meriden, which I spoke about in the last episode. Which was, again, another milestone for me. There's unfinished business there, of course, that I will need to do next year. So that's something that I am carrying over. I am an outdoor person, but also probably a bit of an extreme outdoor person. So yeah, it's something that I definitely want to carry over. I pivoted my business to focus on writing for well-being and creative writing, coming from a copywriting background and marketing background. That was a big achievement for me. It was something that I thought, I'm not too sure about this. This is uncertain ground for me. But this podcast came off the back of that. A lot of the resources that I've created have come off the back of that, and a lot of the new connections I've made during 2023 have been a result of that. So massive way that I celebrated personal growth and really pivoted my business. I took on the master's course, the creative writing and wellbeing. Another massive step in my career and also personal life. And this year I've actually lived with my partner and his daughter for a full year. So lots of exciting things that took place there, new experiences that took there. And, a few things that stood out from looking at my photographs, sort of humorous things that I hadn't realised is I knew I took a lot of pictures of the outdoors, but I've got a lot of pictures of pigs and sheep and cows on my phone. Probably don't need to save a lot of those, but yeah, I've got a lot of creatures on there. I've also got a lot of coffee. A lot of these pretty pictures that these baristas put in the top of your latte or your cappuccino. And, I seem to have an awful lot of that. Maybe that's something I need to cut back on in 2024, because some of the sugar levels in these coffees are humongous. So I believe. Anyway, I digress slightly. So yeah, hopefully that's given you some inspiration. I will put a lot of this information that I've covered in the show notes so that you can refer back to them at any time. Please do leave me a comment. Let me know how you're finding these solo chats. Please subscribe and leave a review as well, because that helps more people to discover the podcasts. And I will leave you with a quote, which is from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and that is, unless you try to do something beyond what you have already mastered, you will never grow. And what a beautiful quote to end on. So happy new year, everybody. Enjoy the celebrations. Welcome in a new year with as much enjoyment and fun as you can. And I will speak to you in a week's time. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's Writing with Purpose podcast. Having conversations with fellow writers or adventure enthusiasts brings two of my biggest loves in life together, writing and nature connection. I've been a copywriter and content creator for 23 years, but my passion is writing for well-being, and I'm on a mission to share the benefits that putting pen to paper has for personal wellness with as many people as possible. If you want to learn more about writing for your well-being and journaling techniques, please connect with me in my Facebook group, Journaling with Anna.